Can we maybe move it until the bottom of the agenda, because CJ did say that
Let's do that.
if he was able, he would come.
Okay, yeah. So move the consent agenda to the, right before new business or after?
Here, let's do it, right before.
Okay, we move the consent agenda just after number 18. Moving along to number 3. Board to consider and take possible action, excuse me, in the absence of the president and or clerk to appoint an acting president and or clerk for the school district to execute any involved documents pertaining to the calling of the special election to the authorized general obligations on it.
And this is just an item in the event that either of you weren't present, we can still go ahead and call for our bond. There's no action.
Since you're both together, you action.
Okay. Number 4, board to consider and take action on a resolution authorizing the calling and holding of a special election to be held in the school district to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds.
All right, good to see you all again. If you don't remember, I'm Andy Davis. We've met several times over the last few months talking about positives calling this new bond election. I passed out our bond schedule here. This will look very similar. You should have one here. Yep. This will look very similar to what we looked at here just about a month ago when I came out. The only difference is I know you all met last week and added just a couple more items, projects to the list of things to be done. And so we adjusted our numbers just slightly from that, up a little bit. So whereas before I think we were netting about 5.2, this is about 5.75 is our net. But up here at the top you'll see it's a total vote amount of $7,635,000, and that will net us for projects $5,750,000. And you recall before, kind of the opportunity here is kind of our phase 2 of your bond project. Your last one you voted, you knew was going to be a multi-phase project. This is kind of the phase 2. The reason we're doing it now with some of the new oil and gas that has come into the district, the valuation has jumped way up. And when the valuation jumps up, that means we can sell more bonds without raising the taxes that we already were. So where patrons voted the tax rate to go to the last bond issue, this should keep us right there, maybe even just a tick under where they were before, or where they were supposed to be from the last election. So that's kind of why we're going forward with phase 2 now, as opposed to waiting any further. Again, it's the capability of doing it now without raising taxes, thanks to some of the growth in valuation from the oil and gas. So on the bond schedule here, the blue is your current series that you already voted a couple years ago, and then the red is the new series bond. So if you total up all these red ones on the left-hand side, those would total that vote amount of $7,635,000. And so you'll see we're just layering it in right over the top of it. And so most of these years we'll just have one bond sale. Next year in 2017 we may have 2 bond sales. We'll do them at the same time, but because they're different dates, one's June and one's July, we may have 2 sales. We'll do it all at the same time. Every other year, even though they're separate bond issues looking, we'll sell them all at one time. That just saves in expenses as far as publications and our fees and things like that. So I just do that so we can break out and kind of see what goes with one election. And then you'll see it took us out just a little bit farther than our last issue, out through 2026. So 9 years worth of bond sales is what we're looking at. We call it a 9-year series bond in this case. And you'll see down at the bottom, your millage rate, your tax rate. This is just sinking fund mills. We hit that 22 mil mark when this goes on, it stays flat through the life of it. So that was our target millage rate from last one, was that 22, 23 mil range. This hits right there at 22 mils, keeps us flat going forward. And we've been fairly conservative with our interest rates. So hopefully if our interest rates hold and come in good, a couple things will happen. One, on our bond issue, that should keep us at or below our tax rate there. And also, if we get a good rate on our lease purchase up front, which is going to give us the money up front to build these projects, maybe we'll get a little bit more money than we thought there at $5,750,000. So that's been the case lately. No one seems to think rates are going to move too much. I've got this scheduled to be funded, I think May of next year, so it's a couple months after the election. We can adjust that a little bit if we need to. Don't get into that, but that's kind of our target for now.
One of the things that's kind of a hot topic now is like fees and things like that. And would you just really kind of go over for everyone why we're passing a $7.6 million bond when we only need, what was it, 5 point?
Right. There's a couple reasons that schools go to these series bond programs. The main one is, well, 2 main ones. One, right now your valuation is at $34 million. So that means at any one time you can only have $3.4 million in bonds outstanding. Well, if we need $5 million, what are we going to do? So you spread it out over a series of years. That's what it's called, a series. When you vote it one time, you issue a series of years. It's kind of like going to buy a car. You can't afford $10,000 car in cash, but you can afford payments over time. Same principle here. And the bonds don't count toward the debt capacity until they're issued. So that's why we put a little bit on each year. As old ones go off, new ones go on. It always keeps you underneath the debt capacity. The other reason people do it is often, if you put on, even if you do a $3 million bond issue one time, that's going to send your tax rate way higher than probably the 22 mils we're at now. So by spreading it out, again, you're reducing that tax impact. So that's why so many schools go to this series bond issue. Now, like she was saying, you vote 7.6, maybe only net 5.75, that's a lot of interest cost, and there's just no way around it. That's the truth, it's just the way it is. But one of the things we always tell people to make it more reasonable why you would go do that is if you waited until year 8 or 9, so you got all this money in, now you've got the full $5 million in. Well, now if you wait 8, 9 years from now, a $5 million project today is probably a $7.5 million project down the line. So you're borrowing today at 3 and 4%, and you're hedging against inflation going up every year at 6, 7, 8, sometimes 10, 12%. So you're borrowing ahead of inflation. That's kind of the real benefit of doing this versus waiting. Not to mention the benefit you get of having to use those facilities. And there's some inherent value to be able to have all these projects done now, whether it's classrooms or facilities or whatever it is, having that facility now as opposed to waiting several years. I mean, there's not a monetary value to it necessarily, but just having those and the use of those for that period of time, there is some value there as well. And so the big difference between that the 7.6 and the net number there, that's the interest cost takes to borrow it out over 9 years. A little bit of that is going to be fees associated with the financing to do that, usually 1.5%, 2%, but 99% of what that difference there is just the interest cost takes care of that part. And we try to, always, we do things a little bit different than some of the other firms. We always try to make sure we monitor, what other firms are doing, if there's a better way to do these projects that's more economical, less expensive for schools. We found several things over the last few years with banks to try to eliminate some things that have been cost to schools and actually get it down a little bit. A lot of times schools will be forced to go through a trust authority. We found ways to work with the banks and get them comfortable they'll do it without a trust authority, and that saves schools sometimes several $100,000 to do it that way. So we always try to make sure we're on top of what's the best way to do it and the most economical, get the most money to the schools. So,
And again, the tax impact is 0.
should be 0, yeah, over what it has been from the last election. So.
You're going to need a motion to.
So yeah, if you want to move forward, a motion and second item number 4 to authorize the special election.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Make a motion.
Amber's made a motion for number 4. Do I have a second?
second.
Tony second. Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Willhite. Yes.
I've got a few documents. You can sign them now, or you can wait till you get
If you need to get on the road, we can sign them now.
It's up to you. It shouldn't take too long. It's just about 3 of them. So.
Okay.
You
Well, let's
want
just
to
do it now.
just
Let's just do it right now.
There'll be several signing people, say 4 or 5 years, so they'll sign and flip, and then clerk, correct?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
Same thing, about 3 copies there. Just write it, even one that's absent, just write it in the position, so I got that. And the motion second item forward. Didn't mention a second ago, we talked about it before the meeting started, but the election date is February the 14th. So that will be the election date. It has to be filed by December the 15th, so I'll get it filed here the next week or so. So we're squared away there. And then that'll give you a good solid month, coming back from Christmas break to kind of, if you're going to do any kind of meetings or flyers or,
Sure.
stuff like that on Facebook or whatever kind of releases you're going to do. And we'll help with any of that you want help with. If you have meetings where you have to come and answer any, numbers,
Yeah.
questions, and that kind of thing. Just the one she's got, what she's done, that we'll swap. And what I'll do is I'll plug in the project language on this resolution,
Okay.
and I'll email it to you before I file it, make sure, thank you, Brenda.
Okay. That
Just to
sounds
have you
great.
look it over once and make sure it reads
Okay, thank
the way
you.
you want it to read and all that stuff, so there's no surprises.
Okay. election date?
February the 14th. Mhm.
Be our Valentine.
That's right, take your main squeeze out to go vote.
That's
It's very
right.
romantic.
We get them all?
That's it, yep. You guys are good, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Seal these, and I will, I'll get on my road.
Thanks for coming down.
You're welcome. If you need something else, I'll be in touch, but if you need something, just holler at me.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Hope the kiddo gets feeling better.
He's fine now, it's
Oh,
just me,
okay.
and now I think my wife's getting it too. She texted me, she's not feeling good now, so he's good, but we're all suffering
Feel
a little bit,
better.
so
Take
thank
another
you.
water if
No,
you'd
I'm good,
like.
appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
Thank
you.
you.
Can I get this, or is that gate still closed?
Oh, now the gate's all closed.
You go through my
Yeah.
This way?
office.
All right.
Please just, it's a minefield sometimes, so be careful.
Okay, number 5, discussion and vote to approve board dates for calendar year 2017.
The only thing that's different is that we changed it back to a week earlier as the first week in a month before the second week. Judy and I had a discussion about it. It always fell right at payroll time.
No.
And it would always fell, and then she was having people, the billing wasn't right. So we're gonna go back to the first Monday of the month.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Tony motion, Amber second, Judy.
Littlefield?
Yes.
Sorry,
Keller?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Number 6, discussion and vote to approve the fiscal internal control policy 304.
6 through 11, we're going through a federal programs audit, and there were just some policies that we did not have that needed to be included in our policy book. And so, the OSSBA, sent me the policies, and we, tweaked them to be our policy, and that's what we're doing tonight. They're for federal programs, and this one is, how we, our internal controls on handling the money. That's what this one's about.
Motion to approve.
Amber's motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Tony second, Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Keller?
Yes.
Number 7, discussion and vote to approve the conflict of interest policy.
It's very much what it says, how do you avoid having a conflict of interest with your bidding, and it's very self-explanatory.
Motion to approve.
Amber's motion, I'll second. Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Keller?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Number 8, discussion and vote to approve Title I ESEA
Complaint resolution.
complaint resolution,
Yeah.
sorry.
How are we gonna resolve complaints that come up? So now we have a policy.
Started writing before I finished
Motion
reading.
to approve.
Amber's made a motion,
Second.
Tony second,
I thought he
Judy?
was gonna complain about it. We're gonna have to get the policy out and use it.
Yes.
Littlefield?
Yes.
Keller?
Yes.
Number 9, discussion and vote to approve Title I ESEA Title I investigation report.
How we're gonna investigate the complaints that we have.
Motion.
Amber's motion,
Second.
Tony second, Judy?
Keller?
Yes.
Littlefield?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Number 10, discussion and vote to approve Title I comparability report.
We've gotta do comparisons on pricing, we've gotta do comparisons on, just federal regulations about spending their money.
Motion to approve.
Amber's motioned, all second. Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Keller?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Number 11, discussion and vote to approve the Title I school-wide plan.
And I'm gonna let Ruth just give you a brief synopsis. She's been working very hard on this federal programs audit, and so she's put together the Title I plans. And if you just want to say a few words, Ruth, about what you've what you've done.
So it just explains what improvements we've made through school for reading and math, how we're spending our federal money on reading and math projects. It includes how we spend on Alpha Plus to bring up our test scores. There's an elementary site plan here and a middle school. Because for school-wide through elementary and middle school. And it kind of goes through different professional development we've offered the teachers, and then about going to Model Schools Conference, and different things that we offer these teachers.
There's a lot. There's a, oh,
That's
there's a lot,
fine.
yeah.
Thank you.
But she did a great job on
Highly
it.
qualified.
Highly
Uh-huh.
qualified, all those things.
Amber's motion,
Second.
Tony second, Judy,
Littlefield,
yes.
Willhite,
Yes.
Heller.
Yes.
Number 12, discussion and vote to approve pay application number 2 from Cedar Ridge General Contracting LLC.
And it's the second one. I visited with him about the line item that I was a little more concerned about, and Tom said, you know, it was pretty much industry standard that the first line was, second.
Bless you.
Thank you. I hope he doesn't make me sick, oh my goodness. I don't know if I can find that in my booklet. I've seen it. Probably on my desk. It was $23,000. Did you all get that in your
Yes.
email?
Yeah.
Okay. And they, you know, they're back here. They, the update on that is, you know, they're about ready to pour. I haven't been up there today. They might have poured today. But they're, you know, working and giving me a timeline, and it's a lot different than it was with Crossland, just because there's not as much communication, not as big a job. We don't have somebody on site.
Mhm.
But I recommend that we approve pay application number 2.
Motion to approve.
Amber's motion,
I'll second.
Tony second, Judy,
Littlefield,
yes.
Heller,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
Number 13, proposed executive session to discuss the employment of support staff member for the remainder of the 16-17, so that the board can return to open session and vote to employ or not employ a support staff member on the temporary contract for the school year 16-17. This executive session permitted by 25 OS 307B1.
Motion to convene.
Amber's made a motion,
Second.
Tony second,
Heller,
Yes.
Willhite,
Yes.
Littlefield,
yes.
Time.
8:22, 23. All right, I'll make a motion to return to open session. And the time, whatever time it is, I'll have a,
I'll second it.
yes,
8:04.
8:04,
Yes, yes, yes.
Littlefield,
yes.
Willhite, Heller.
Yes.
Yes.
During executive session, we discussed the employment of support staff member for the remainder of the 2016-17 year, so that we can return back into open session.
All right, thank you. Back to number 16, or not back, but to 16. Vote to employ or not to employ Debbie Boothby as support staff as a temporary contract for the 16-17 school year.
Motion.
Amber's made a
employ.
motion,
Second it.
Tony second, Judy,
Heller,
Yes.
Willhite,
Yes.
Littlefield,
yes. Number 17, principal reports.
We have lost our principal.
There he is right there.
He's coming.
You're multitasking, aren't you?
You want me to
Pretty
go
awesome.
first? I could do superintendent. I kind of put him on the spot.
That's all right.
I asked him to kind of go over,
Oh, man.
This is just a random, I picked some schools that are in the area, some of them are about our size, if you want to look at that, that's.
our report cards.
You're welcome to. That is high school here.
And it's up. Congratulations.
And then
Thank
this
you.
is middle school.
And it stayed the same.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. No, I didn't.
And there's
And
elementary.
then elementary, Ruth is the best.
And 2 years ago,
Thank you.
Come a long way.
Miss
Yes, they
Ruth was a
have.
D. And now she's a B.
That is,
Isn't that
gave me
awesome?
goosebumps.
This is just light reading.
Yep, no
Um,
problem. Keep it coming, brother.
yeah.
It's good.
What those are there is that's kind of telling you what's changing in the State Department as far as college prep, core curriculum. Mrs. Jordan, when they come in the freshman year, she usually almost always puts them on the college prep. And then if they change their mind later, it's okay, but we're trying to push everybody to the college prep. There's nothing wrong with being on the core, but that's kind of what we're doing. This sheet tells you how things have changed a little bit from the legislature as far as the testing part. Last year we had 7 EOIs. They've cut it back now to where we're going to have 4. And they've limited, you can just read it. They've gone from 19 to 14 on 3 through 8, and in high school they've gone from 7 to 4. But that's just something you can look at and kind of see. They've changed some things around. You don't have to pass the test necessarily anymore to graduate. You still have to take them. So there's a lot of things that have changed between the State Department and the legislature. Any questions on any of that? Specifically on our report card, it's somewhat confusing. If you have any questions, let me know. But basically, if you go through, you can see the subjects. For example, if we go through middle school first, reading we received a C. We had 84 students. Math, C, 84 students. Science, F, 29 students. Social studies, geography, 60 students, F. Some of that can be a little misleading, and what I mean by that is you have to take the number of students. So, if you have 84 students compared to 29, you might have a little better grade. Because the reading is taking 6 through 8, the math is taking 6 through 8, the science is only 8th grade. Okay? Also something that can play in there is, for some reason, and I've asked why, and I haven't got an answer, but the science scores are the highest in the state to pass. So the 2 toughest tests on this one is 8th grade science, and this one is biology. And why? I don't know, because they're always pushing math and reading, so it doesn't really make sense to me, but I guess that's not my...
And when they did change the cut score, they did it after the kids had taken the test.
Right.
So you didn't have any, you
There's no
really
foundation for
basically, there was nothing you could do.
Right. And I figured if you want to look at my figuring up there. And then on the high school, 47 students took the English test. We have a C. Math, we had 49, and we scored an A. Biology, we received an F. 20 students, again, low students. U.S. history, 26 students, and we received an F there. Those can vary year to year, depending on the classes and what happens. Also, part of that is biology is the highest, followed by U.S. history, followed by English, and it just kind of goes down. So there's different variables. Just sometimes looking at just the letter grade and saying, this is an F and this is a C doesn't always, you're not always comparing apples to apples. Just to touch on the bonus points, you can receive up to 10 bonus points. It's not easy to do, and sometimes small schools, I don't want to say are at a disadvantage, but they sometimes can't get everything. Advanced coursework, sometimes, we can maybe offer an AP course or a college algebra, but you have to have a certain amount of kids to get the points. So, there's a lot of dynamics there. Cohort rate, that's basically how many kids you start as a freshman and you roll them all the way through and graduate them and get them all the way through. You get points for that. College entrance exam, ACT, SAT, low performing 8th grade cohort rate. Again, are you getting your kids through? Are you having some dropouts, which sometimes we do, even though we're a small school, occasionally we do have a dropout, which can hurt you. Your EOI performance, how are we doing? And then your year-to-year growth. So, and to just sum it up quickly, basically the report card is school testing, how are you doing on the test, and then how are you growing? How are all your students growing, and then how are your bottom students growing? And that's where you're getting your points. So,
So what was our high school last year?
Last year
You
was
were a C.
C. Yeah. And I think we were we were the same on the middle school.
Middle school was the same.
So
But
our-
2 years ago, we was,
And 2 years ago at the elementary, we were a D, and last year we
Right.
were a B also, I think.
okay.
So we're hoping that, you know, we have room to improve, and we're hoping, we're always
Yeah.
shooting for the A's.
Yeah.
So,
I do want to say, you know,
Yeah.
since this
Look at
came,
that figure.
since the onset of the A through F report card, you know, I think that you hear a lot of rhetoric about it, but the truth of these report cards is they're not statistically sound if you really want a good indication of what your schools are, because the information, like Jeremy said, is not apples to apples. Like you might have 20 kids taking a test. It's the same test that somebody else is having 60 kids taking a test, and you can only have 2 kids that don't pass, and they can have 7 kids that don't pass. So it's not apples to apples. This will be the last year that we have this report card, because our standards have changed, and hopefully they're going to come up with something that's more equitable. But having said that, also, this has been here about 5-6 years. You have 5 or 6 years that you've got the same exact information, right or wrong, you can look at. We are increasing our scores. Whether the information's right or wrong, it's the same information over 6 years, and we are increasing. So we're very proud of that. So, and then Ruth's got hers too, so you might want to talk to you about.
yeah. And I'll say this, and I'll sit down and let Ruth take over. Labor auction is tomorrow night at 6 for FFA, if anybody's interested. We had a very, very, I think everyone would agree, I thought, exceptional Veterans Day assembly, from the band to the choir to just everybody involved. I thought it was really, really good. I had a lot of people complimenting. Our high school students were regional academic champions, so they won that over the week. Of course, basketball's starting, speech is getting busy, so obviously it's that time of year where everything's band, you name it, it's going. So I'll get out of the room.
Well, and on a personal note, Jeremy didn't let you know, he has been asked to be on the Career Tech Advisory Board over in Alva. And so we have a really good voice over there. And one of the things that he's kind of going back and forth with him about is perhaps a welding class? Maybe?
I had, we had a meeting, and I just said I think there would be a great need for a welding offered here. I think it would do really well in Alva. And they offered Fairview, but not Alva. And she thought about it, talked to some people, emailed me back, and said that, what about the possibility of you hosting it here at Cherokee? We send the instructor and possibly do it on site here. So there's something to think about if you guys are interested.
It's pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
You know, when I was 16, I took a class in Fairview, drove after school,
Right.
and got my, you know, it's an awesome thing, and it's a good opportunity for a lot of kids,
Right.
but, you know,
Yeah.
something else they can put in their toolbox.
Yeah,
Right.
good stuff.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Elementary, have you done anything this month? No, nothing.
Kids have been busy, you know, practice for that Veterans Day, now they've started on their Christmas songs, cause that's just
Around the
coming
corner.
fast. Thursday, pre-K has their little Thanksgiving program at 2:30 at the elementary gym. And we are getting out early this Friday. And then just, teachers are hitting it hard, cause they know that last week in December, it'll be hard to get anything, so from now till the middle of December, we're hitting hard with books, seeing good things happening.
Good things are happening. It's good stuff going on. Both those principals should be commended for a job well done. They have good people too. They help them get there.
Yeah.
We're ready for the superintendent's report?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, I'm gonna be fairly short today. We really are in, just, high, bond mode, getting ready for that, getting ready for, federal programs audit. A lot of time was spent last week, Ruth and myself, a lot of hours in front of the computer. Still some to go on just correspondence and answering questions and getting information out to our staff about the bond, the community about the bond, a lot of, just a lot of computer time for me right now, but we did have a visit from the fire marshal. I really just think he misses me, so. So he came to see us again today. But, you know, he saw very minimal changes, and one of the things he did say was that, you know, we've got some rooms at the north end that have only got one door, and they should have two exits. And I said, well, you know, we have those windows, but he doesn't know that those would pass the test of can kids get out of there if there's a fire. So we're either going to have to think about crashing through and making another door, or putting some fire alarm, the units there that attach it to our alarm system. So that's probably what we'll do, and we'll probably have some money available through that bond to do that, and if not, we'll do it through the general fund where get that safety hazard done. So he did say I didn't think that we would need to continue our 90-day TLO where we are using our facilities without a 100% release on it. But he did say to go ahead and do that at the 90 days, because you never know what'll come up. So we will, when the 90 days is up, go ahead. I felt like the buildings would probably be finished by the time we were ready to hit track and softball and baseball, but never know. The weather could play a part, always usually does. So anyway, other than that, goodness, things are going well. I'm hearing great things about our kids being very successful at what they're doing, and really enjoyed the one-act play. The kids did a great job, and I will also comment that I felt like the Veterans Day program was probably one of the best I've ever seen.
It was really good.
And it's now on our YouTube channel. There are portions of that Cherokee Public Schools has a YouTube channel, so we are heading toward being able to put the Christmas programs on there with people who don't get to see it. Maybe they had to miss it for some reason. They can go to the YouTube channel and see their Emmy Lou or whoever it is that's performing, be able to see that. So good stuff's happening at
Can
Cherokee.
you tell us a little bit about the lunch programs? How are
Sure.
those going on?
Well, we have seen an increase, of course, in kids eating and adults. Last month, we actually brought in more than we expended, so we went up a little bit in our child nutrition fund. Some of that was just from getting the payments in for people who are already needed to pay their bill. But we are getting close to the point where if we can just get the push on what we expend and what we bring in free and reduced, then it's really going to be a program that doesn't cost us anything. And so everybody seems to be eating. We did kind of have to say it's a free lunch, not a buffet. We had some kids thinking that it was a buffet, and we said, absolutely come back if everybody's been through, but a couple of times. But anyway, it's been a good.
It's not take home.
No, yeah,
Right.
yeah, we don't have tape home cartons, but what about you guys? Do you guys feel like at the cafeteria you've got more people eating?
I think so, and definitely more adults, all the teachers, most all of them.
And with 779 not passing, I think it's even more important than before that we provided this as a benefit to our staff. It was very disappointing for 779 to not pass. Puts it back to Oklahoma City to try to figure out what they can or can't do for teachers. And as a board, I feel like we do a very good job of putting our students and our teachers first any way that we can, and making this a really good job. So I think our employees and our kids are well taken care of here. And unfortunately, there wasn't a raise, but you never know what can come down the
I'm
pike.
sure they'll repackage it and clean it up and
Do some, yeah.
Touched on it, I should have said it, and I forgot, it's been a while since the board meeting, but, one act play, like you said, state runner-up. The last 3 years, we've been state champion, state runner-up, which is, to
Amazing.
me, incredible, unheard of, and when you go down there and watch those kids at state every year, and not all of them are, some of them are our size, but there's a lot of them that are a lot bigger, and Jason just does, and the kids both, but just a tremendous
Tremendous.
job, so I want to touch on that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a school our size, we've got academic team winning regional. We've got one act play, state runner-up and state. We've got, you know, just so many, we are so diversified in our successes that we are not just an athletic school. We're an academic school, we are an activity school, and we are an athletic school. So, like I said, I feel like at Cherokee, we are great, just getting better. So, good job by all.
Okay, moving on, we need to go back to the consent agenda number 2.
And we need a motion to table A, B, and C.
We don't table. Our motion to table. We just table it.
Just table it, so
Okay, so
sorry.
we're gonna-
Getting late.
That's all right.
I've got that on my thing, table,
You wanna go
A,
ahead?
B, and C.
Well, so we'll table A, B, and C. And do I have a motion for D through J, subpart A?
Motion.
Tony's made the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Amber second. Judy,
Littlefield?
did you get all that, Judy?
No.
Okay. So we're tabling A, B, and C,
Okay.
and we are approving D through J with subpart A.
Okay.
And
And
Amber
Judy-
made the motion, and
Tony made the motion.
Tony made the motion, and Amber second.
A, B, and C will have to go on our next board agenda when we have Jeff and TJ and Corey here.
No,
That's
no.
because that's
Oh, yeah,
the
well,
minutes
yeah.
of those meetings.
Gotcha. I was thinking I was here.
Littlefield?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Keller?
Yes.
Oh, yes. All right. Any new business?
There's no new business.
Okay.
Motion. Adjourn.
Number 20 motion. Amber's made the motion.
Second.
Tony second. Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Keller?
Yes.
8:24.